Good morning student, welcome to the Aryan Digital Content. This is Priya, your science teacher. In this video I will explain you the chapter number 6 of your NCERT textbook, that is combustion and flame. In this chapter we will learn about what is combustion, the types of combustion and the conditions required for the combustion, and the flame, the outer zone, the middle zone and the innermost zone of the flame, and what substances they produce flame and what substances do not produce flame. These are the topics that we cover in this chapter. So let's start with the combustion. Firstly we'll understand that what are combustible substances. Combustible substances, they are the substances which burn in the presence of air or in the presence of oxygen to produce heat or light. They are called the combustible substances. Combustible substances can also be called as fuel. For example, fuel can be of solid type, fuel can be liquid, fuel can be gas. For example, wood, coal, charcoal, they are the solid fuels. Kerosene, petrol, diesel, LPG, they are the liquid fuels, and the compressed natural gas, it is the type of gaseous fuel. So the substances which burn in the presence of oxygen to produce the heat, they are the combustible substances. Second is, what is combustion? Combustion, it is called a chemical reaction or a chemical process in which a substance reacts with the oxygen to produce the heat. If we burn a substance, it produces the heat or the light, or it produces the gas. So this reaction is known as the combustion. Thus, as I have told you earlier, that the substance which undergoes combustion is called a combustible substance. It can be also called as a fuel. Sometimes light is also produced during combustion, either as a flame or a glow. This we will learn later. So the next is, the air is necessary for combustion. Air is the very basic necessity for the chemical process of combustion to take place. Without air, combustion cannot take place. नेक्स्ट इज दी दैट एक एक्सपेरिमेंट से हम समझेंगे कि वाई द एयर इज नेसेसरी फॉर द कंबशन और फॉर द बर्निंग ऑफ अ कंबस्टिबल सब्सटेंस. हम एक एक्टिविटी लेंगे, इसमें हमें चाहिए एक वुडन ब्लॉक, अ ग्लास चिमनी एंड अ कैंडल. Firstly, we'll fix a lighted candle on a table and put a glass chimney over the table, as you can see in the diagram A, and rest it on a few wooden blocks in such a way so that air can enter the chimney. Observe what happens to the flame. Now remove the wooden block and let the chimney rest on the table. Again observe the flame. Then put a glass plate over the chimney, over the glass chimney and over the flame. Observe the flame again. In first diagram, you can see that the candle burns freely because the air enters the chimney from the below. And in second diagram, the candle stops burning because air does not enter the chimney from the below. And the third, in the C diagram, the candle does not burn because air is not available either of the above and from the below. So this shows that air is the basic necessity for burning of any combustible substance. The next is the ignition temperature. Ignition temperature is the lowest temperature, or we can say the minimum temperature which is required for a combustible substance to catch fire. A substance will not catch fire if the temperature is lower than its ignition temperature. So different substances may have different ignition temperature. For example, the ignition temperature of kerosene is less than the ignition temperature of a wood. ठीक है, जो केरोसिन और पेट्रोल है वो जल्दी आग पकड़ लेता है, वुड या किसी भी कोल के कंपैरिजन में. क्यों? क्योंकि जो इग्निशन टेम्परेचर होता है, जो लिक्विड फ्यूल का जो इग्निशन टेम्परेचर है वो सॉलिड फ्यूल से बहुत कम होता है. तो जैसे ही उसे थोड़ी सी हीट प्रोवाइड होती है, वैसे ही वो क्या, इट कैचेस फायर. द सब्सटेंसेस विच हैव वेरी लो इग्निशन टेम्परेचर एंड कैन ईजिली कैच फायर विद द फ्लेम, दे आर नोन एज इनफ्लेमेबल सब्सटेंसेज. फॉर एग्जाम्पल है इसका अल्कोहल, पेट्रोल, LPG, CNG. बहुत ही कम हीट या बहुत ही कम इग्निशन टेम्परेचर प्रोवाइड होने पर भी ये इजीली फायर कैच कर लेते हैं. सो दे आर नोन एज द इनफ्लेमेबल सब्सटेंसेज. द नेक्स्ट इज द व्हाट आर द बेसिक कंडीशंस दैट आर नेसेसरी फॉर द कंबशन रिएक्शन टू टेक्स प्लेस. So the conditions necessary for combustion are, first is the fuel. Any fuel is required for the combustion to take place. Second is the air or the supply of oxygen from the atmosphere is very necessary for the combustion. Third is the heat or the ignition temperature, or to raise the temperature beyond the ignition temperature of a combustible substance, amount of heat is required. So the substance will not burn if without one or more of these conditions. अगर इन तीनों में से कोई एक कंडीशन फुलफिल नहीं हो रही है तो कंबशन प्रोसेस नहीं होगा, ठीक है. सो दीज आर द 3 मेन कंडीशंस फॉर द कंबशन. The next is how do we control fire? The conditions, as you all know that the conditions necessary for producing fire, they are the fuel, air and the heat. So the fire can be controlled by removing any one of these conditions, ठीक है. या तो हम फ्यूल हटा दें, या सप्लाई ऑफ एयर हम ख़त्म कर दें, या फिर हीट हटा दें. तो इन तीनों में से किसी एक को रिमूव करने से क्या है, वी कैन कंट्रोल दी फायर. सो फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर दे कट ऑफ द सप्लाई ऑफ द एयर और दे brings down the temperature of the particular fuel or both to control the fire. So what are the fire extinguishers? The methods of controlling fire: we can extinguish fire by the use of water and by the use of carbon dioxide. Water is used because water it lower down the temperature. Water is the most common fire extinguisher because it can be used only when materials like wood, paper, which are non-conductors of electricity, are on fire. Because water cannot be used if any of the electrical equipments are on fire, because water conducts electricity and it can harm those trying to put out the fire. Water cannot be used to put out oil and petrol fires because they float on water and continue to burn. वाटर जो है नॉर्मली जो सॉलिड फ्यूल्स हैं, वुड है, पेपर है, उनके लिए फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर का काम करता है. अगर किसी भी इलेक्ट्रिकल इक्विपमेंट, कोई भी इलेक्ट्रिकल इक्विपमेंट है वो फायर कैच कर लेता है, उसमें हम वाटर को एज एन एक्सटिंग्विशर यूज़ नहीं करते. क्यों? क्योंकि वाटर जो है ईजिली इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कंडक्ट कर सकता है और उस पर्टिकुलर पर्सन को वो हार्म या फिर कुछ नुकसान पहुंचा सकता है. नेक्स्ट है, वाटर को हम पेट्रोल या फिर लिक्विड फ्यूल है, पेट्रोल या डीजल में भी हम उसे फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर की तरह नहीं यूज़ करते हैं. क्यों? क्योंकि पेट्रोल और ऑयल आपको पता है दे आर लेस डेंसर देन दी वाटर. तो जैसे ही हम उसमें वाटर अप्लाई करेंगे तो वाटर के ऊपर फ्लोट करेंगे एंड दे कंटिन्यू टू बर्न, तो वो फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर का काम नहीं करेगा. सो इसलिए वाटर को हम नॉर्मली ओनली सॉलिड फ्यूल्स के केस में यूज़ करते हैं. नेक्स्ट इज बाय यूजिंग द कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड. As you all know, carbon dioxide is used as the best fire extinguisher to put out the fire caused by the inflammable materials like solid fuel, like liquid fuels, or the gaseous fuels like oil, petrol and electrical equipments. Because carbon dioxide is mostly heavier than the air, or carbon dioxide is heavier than the oxygen, so it covers the fire and cuts off the supply of oxygen to the fire. Mainly carbon dioxide is stored at the higher pressure as liquid in cylinders. Chemicals like sodium carbonate or baking soda, potassium carbonate, they produce the carbon dioxide near the fire. कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड को हम इन्फ्लेमेबल मटेरियल्स में फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर की तरह यूज़ करते हैं. कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड मेनली क्या करता है, इट कट्स ऑफ द सप्लाई ऑफ ऑक्सीजन. क्योंकि कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड जो है वो ऑक्सीजन से हैवियर होती है इन दी मॉलिकुलर वेट, सो वो एक ब्लैंकेट ऑफ एयर बना देती है, सो वो ऑक्सीजन को फायर के कॉन्टैक्ट में नहीं आने देती. दैट्स वाई कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड इज द बेस्ट फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर. Next is the types of combustion. There are 3 main types of combustion, that are rapid combustion, spontaneous combustion and explosion. As the name indicates, rapid combustion, it is the combustion in which a substance burns rapidly and it produces heat and light with the help of external heat. For example, burning of LPG. Rapid combustion it usually takes place in the inflammable substances. क्योंकि उनका इग्निशन टेम्परेचर बहुत लो होता है, इसलिए वो फायर ईजिली कंबशन जो है उसमें जल्दी से वो इजीली फायर कैच कर लेता है. दैट्स व्हाई इट इज कॉल्ड एज रैपिड combustion. नेक्स्ट इज द spontaneous combustion. It is the type of combustion in which a substance burns spontaneously and it produces heat or light without the help of any external heat. Spontaneous combustion, as the name indicates, spontaneous मतलब अपने आप, ठीक है. अगर कोई भी सब्सटेंस अपने आप फायर कैच कर लेते हैं, अपने आप कंबशन प्रोसेस या केमिकल रिएक्शन होने लगती है, उसे हम कहते हैं स्पॉन्टेनियस कंबशन. स्पॉन्टेनियस कंबशन के केस में उसे किसी भी एक्सटर्नल हीट की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ती, ठीक है. फॉर एग्जांपल है फॉस्फोरस बर्न स्पॉन्टेनियसली एट द रूम टेम्परेचर, ठीक है. फॉर एग्जांपल इसका एक और एग्जांपल है कि सोडियम मेटल को जब हम वाटर में डालते हैं तो वो फायर कैच कर लेता है, सो इट इज़ ऑल्सो नोन एज द स्पॉन्टेनियस कंबशन, जो कि अपने आप होता है. थर्ड टाइप इज द एक्सप्लोजन. इट इज़ अ टाइप ऑफ कंबशन इन विच अ सब्सटेंस बर्न्स सडनली. It suddenly burst and it suddenly produce large amount of heat, light and sound with the help of heat and pressure. एक्सप्लोजन में क्या होता है, कोई पर्टिकुलर सब्सटेंस है वो सडनली जो है सडनली बर्न होने लगता है और एकदम से लार्ज अमाउंट ऑफ हीट और लाइट वो लिबरेट करता है। इस प्रोसेस को हम कहते हैं एक्सप्लोजन। ठीक है, इसका एग्जाम्पल है एक्सप्लोजन ऑफ क्रैकर्स और दे अप्लाइंग हीट और प्रेशर। ठीक है, जो पटाखे हम जलाते हैं, इट इज़ द टाइप ऑफ एक्सप्लोजन रिएक्शन। This is the type of combustion. In first picture you can see the rapid combustion, second spontaneous combustion, it is the burning of paper in the presence of sunlight, and the third is the explosion, that is the burning of crackers. The next topic is the flame. Flame is the zone of combustion, is the zone of complete combustion of a combustible substance. Flame, it only occurs on the substances which vaporize during burning, during produce flames. Flame, it occurs generally on the substances like kerosene and wax which vaporize during the combustion process. Substances which do not vaporize during burning, they do not produce flames, for example coal and charcoal. As you can see in the picture, kerosene and wax, they produce the flames because they vaporize during burning, and coal and charcoal, they do not produce any flame because they do not vaporize during the combustion. This is the structure of a candle flame. Any flame, you can see that there are three parts that a flame consists of. The outer part, that is a blue, that is of blue color, it is known, it is the zone of complete combustion. Here the complete supply of oxygen is there, so the complete combustion reaction takes place. It is also known as the non-luminous zone. It is the hottest part of the candle. The next is the middle zone, that is yellow in color. It is the zone of the partial combustion. Complete combustion cannot take place in this zone, only partial combustion. Partial combustion means a combustion which takes place in the presence of a limited supply of oxygen. This is known as the partial combustion. It is also known as luminous zone. The innermost zone, which is black in color, it is a no combustion zone. No combustion takes place in this zone. Here are the unburnt wax vapors. It is the least hot part of the candle flame. The outer zone, it is the hottest part, the middle zone, it is moderately hot, and the inner zone, it is not very hot, or it is the least hot part of the candle flame. The structure of the candle flame, as I have told you earlier, that a candle flame has three main zones: outer zone, middle zone, inner zone. In the outer zone, complete combustion of the fuel takes place and the color of the flame is blue. It is the hottest part of the flame and it is the non-luminous part of the flame. In the middle zone, the partial combustion or the limited supply of oxygen of the fuel takes place and the color of the flame is yellow, and it is moderately hot part of the flame. It is also known as the luminous part of the flame. In the inner zone, there are unburnt vapors of the fuel and the color is black, and it is the least hot part of the flame. The next is the type of fuel. मैंने फर्स्ट स्लाइड में भी बताया था कि फ्यूल्स जो तीन टाइप के होते हैं: सॉलिड फ्यूल, लिक्विड फ्यूल एंड गैसियस फ्यूल. सॉलिड फ्यूल फॉर एग्जांपल वुड, कोल, चारकोल, they are solid in nature, so they are solid fuels. Liquid fuel for example kerosene, petrol and diesel, and gaseous fuels, they are the CNG, compressed natural gas, liquefied petroleum gas, biogas and hydrogen, etc. Hydrogen is also considered as the fuel. The characteristic of a good fuel, that what are the characteristic of a good fuel? The main characteristics of a good fuel are: first, it is readily available in the market; second, it is cheap and not very expensive; third, it is easy to store and transport in anywhere; and fourth is it burns at a moderate rate. Okay, it burns at a moderate ignition temperature. It do not produce large amount of light. The fifth is produces a large amount of heat. It produces large amount of heat. Sixth, it does not leave behind any undesirable substances, as it does not produce any harmful gas in the atmosphere. And seventh, it does not cause any pollution. It does not cause any pollution means कोई भी harmful gas है, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड है, कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड है, वो रिलीज ना करे. So these are the characteristics of a good fuel. नेक्स्ट इज द कैलोरीफिक वैल्यू ऑफ अ फ्यूल. कैलोरीफिक वैल्यू का मतलब क्या होता है? कैलोरीफिक वैल्यू होती है कि जब भी किसी सब्सटेंस को हम बर्न करते हैं, तो जब तक उसका 1 kg पार्ट पूरा बर्न हो जाता है, उस टाइम तक वो कितनी अमाउंट ऑफ हीट प्रोड्यूस कर रहा है, उसे हम क्या कहते हैं? कैलोरीफिक वैल्यू. अगर हम डेफिनेशन देखिए इसकी, द अमाउंट ऑफ हीट एनर्जी produced on a complete combustion of 1 kg of a particular fuel. द कैलोरीफिक वैल्यू इट इज़ एक्सप्रेस्ड इन किलो जूल पर kg, ठीक है, इसकी यूनिट क्या होती है, किलो जूल पर kg। अब कैलोरीफिक वैल्यू से हम पता लगाते हैं कि उस फ्यूल की एफिशिएंसी कितनी ज़्यादा है। सो यू कैन सी इन द टेबल सबसे ज़्यादा कैलोरीफिक वैल्यू किसकी है, इट इज़ ऑफ हाइड्रोजन गैस, उससे कम है बायोगैस की, फिर LPG, CNG, मीथेन, डीजल, केरोसिन, पेट्रोल। So from this table you can observe that the calorific value of the gaseous fuels are more than the liquid fuels and the calorific value of liquid fuels are more than the solid fuels. So the calorific value of the solid fuels are the least. Hydrogen has the highest calorific value among all the fuels. The next is the harmful effects on the environment due to the burning of fuels. So what are the effects on our environment due to the combustion? First is the fuels like wood or the solid fuels and the liquid fuels, they release unburnt carbon particles which can cause various respiratory problems like asthma. Second is the incomplete combustion of any fuel, it releases the carbon monoxide gas which is a very poisonous gas which can cause death. As you all know that carbon monoxide, it has high affinity with our blood hemoglobin than the carbon dioxide. So it reacts with our hemoglobin and makes red spots on our body which can cause death. Third part is the burning of most fuels, it releases carbon dioxide gas which can cause rise in the temperature of the atmosphere. It can cause melting of the polar ice, melting of the glaciers and flooding of the coastal areas. Then rise in the temperature of the earth, it is known as the global warming. So this condition is known as global warming. The next point is burning of coal and petroleum. It releases the oxides of sulfur and nitrogen, mainly known as the nitrogen oxide and the sulfur dioxides, which dissolved in the rainwater and form the acid rain. It is harmful for crops, soil and damages buildings. As you all know that the oxides of sulfur and nitrogen, they reacts with the rainwater. For example, sulfur dioxide, it reacts with the rainwater to form the sulfuric acid, and nitrogen dioxide, it reacts with the rainwater to form the nitric acid. So these acids, they are responsible for the acid rain which can reduce the soil fertility and it is harmful for crop and damages the soil content. So this is your chapter. I hope you have understood very well. If you have any doubt, you can contact me anytime. Thank you.